Good morning. Welcome to the Harrisburg atrium. And I'm Chief Carter. I'm up here with my team of police officers and our illustrious mayor. The reason that I called this press conference is because last year, near the end of last year, the mayor and I were talking. And I wasn't really happy about the gun violence that we've been having in the city the past couple years. So I told the mayor that I'm going to have to do something a little bit different. I'm going to challenge my young officers. I'm also going to put them in harm's way because I had an experience last year where a mother came to my office and was crying. And that sound of her voice, she had just lost her son. And that sound and her voice just stayed with me, and it did not sit well with me. So after my conversation with the mayor, I walked into my captain's office, Captain Moody, and I think that Oliveira, he was also there. And I said to them, you know, we have to do something different. We have to challenge the agency to get guns off the street. We have to confront suspects. We just have to just go after them because I want to cut down on the gun violence here. Also, you know, we have new businesses coming here, and they're not going to want to partner with us if we have so many shootings and so many homicides here. So I told my captains what I wanted to do, that I wanted to engage the people out there carrying guns. Now, you know, if you have been to any police classes, most of us up here have, you know, you can tell by the way that a person's body language is, you know, if they're carrying guns, you know, the way that they walk, the way that they're standing. When I went to homicide school years back, Vernon Gerberth, he was a lieutenant commander of the New York homicide force, task force. And he handed out a sheet of paper with a saying on it. I think it's from Exodus, the book of Exodus, that says, "The evil will flee when no one's chasing them, but the righteous will endure like a lion," which translates into that the righteous will stand there and just talk to you, but the evil will flee. So the fruit of our engagement on the street is that we've collected over 80 plus guns off the street this year in the first quarter of this year. Assault weapons, shotguns. Now this is only a little display here that we have. We have about 49 weapons out at PSP. We have 55, thank you, Captain. It's 55 guns out at PSP for fingerprinting, for prosecution of cases and different things like that. But I am so proud of the officers standing up here. I am so proud of the whole agency because they took me up on the challenge that I issued them. A couple years ago, I used to challenge Lieutenant Hooper and his group of guys to go out there and get the bulk of guns off the street. This year, I challenged the whole agency, and I'm the type of police chief that if I challenge you to do something, I'm going to go and do it too. So yes, I did get a gun off of our city streets. But, you know, Captain Moody and Oliveira, you know, they said, well, boss, you know, we're going to put our officers in danger even more. And I said, yes, but however, police officers are in danger every time they come to work. When they put their uniform on and they leave these doors, they're in danger. So let's save the lives of our citizens. Let's get out there and let's get guns off of the street. And that's what they've been doing. In District 5, which yielded our highest homicide rate, I believe so far this year, we have one homicide. Captain Oliveira?
We prefer not to talk about anything else.
We have one homicide in our District 5. That's also in the Martyr Square area. We have 2 shooting deaths this year. Our last homicide that we had in the city, the people who committed the homicide and the victim didn't even live here. So we have one shooting death from District 5, we have one in District 3, and we have a domestic violence homicide. And that is because the people here, the officers that you see, the commanders, the foot soldiers, CID, they're doing a good job. And it's all because they have a great love for this city. They want to support the residents of this city. We have a compassionate police agency here. And also, if you look at the amount of guns that we get off the street, those are opportunities where things to go sour with my police officers. Those are opportunities that when we engage people and when we take guns, there are two guns right there. The police officer's gun and the bad guy's gun. And so we both have guns. And those are opportunities that things can go bad and someone can get seriously hurt even or killed. But with the way that we are trained here, with the compassion that we have for people, thank God that none of my officers have gotten hurt. Thank God that no citizen has gotten hurt. And that is because of the training that the police officers display here. That is the professionalism that they show, and that is the leadership of my captains here. So I'm almost finished talking now. I'm going to turn the program over to Captain Moody.
Good morning, thank you. And as always, when you follow behind the chief, there's not a whole lot left to say. I did prepare a few notes, and as we get started, as you see and as the chief alluded to, you have a fraction of the weapons that were taken off of our city streets. We wanted to display to you, obviously we can't open all of them, some of them are still in cases, doing the investigative process that we have to. So the ones that we are able to display to you, we are displaying to you so that you just kind of get a sense of the flavor. Two things that we kind of wanted to bring out to you and that we wanted to make our citizens in the city of Harrisburg aware of, if they were not already aware of. Our officers do work hard. They work hard to ensure the safety and the livelihood of our citizens and the people that live here and the people that visit. And although this can portray one message that there are a lot of guns on the city of Harrisburg streets, I think the bigger picture of it is what the chief kind of talked to. We were able to successfully take a majority of these weapons off the street with minimal injuries to our officers and to the suspects. So it says a lot about the professionalism. You take any one of these scenarios, any one of these weapons that are here, you change the flavor, you add a little bit here, you take a little bit there, and it's a bad situation. But our officers have prevailed. Our officers stepped up to the mission that the chief talked about, and they did it willingly. Not just because it's their job, but because of the passion and the willingness and the want to do the right things for our citizens. This is our community, which we are proud of, and they come out every day to work hard for our citizens. We asked some of our officers to step up, and this is not the reflection of our entire department. These are not the only guys doing the job here, but what we did was we took a little bit from the officers that have the biggest representation here. Obviously, on the end and kind of mixed in there, you see our officers from our street crimes unit. You see them a lot, but these are our proactive branch of our department. These are the officers that can get out and they can proactively go and look for these types of issues. These guys really stepped up to the plate. When the chief said he tasked them, they stepped up to the plate. I believe in just 1 week alone, they had probably about 4 or 5 guns that they recovered themselves. I do have a little bit of numbers to spit at you. I'm that guy, but I'm going to try not to get too much into the numbers with you. But also with them is we have representation from our uniform patrol. You see 2 of our officers from the 3 to 11 shift. Some of the officers were not able to make it. All of these officers here had to leave from court to come here just to be here today so that you could see them. And the purpose being is that I want people to put a face with the operation that's going on here. It's important for them to say, it's just not the Harrisburg Police, but here are your faces. Here are your officers, your detectives that are working to do this. They're working to keep our cities as safe as possible and to get the guns, not just the guns, the illegal guns and the irresponsible owners of these weapons that allow these weapons to be used in a way that they were not really designed for. But again, I have uniformed patrol members here that are here. These guys alone, in one day, I believe, 2 guns that they took off the street. You can get into the names of them. We have Officer Bates, McGowan, Bath, Fiore, and we have our detective bureau that I do not want to leave out as well. This is one side of the coin. This is the other side of the coin. And when I say that, I mean, this is the first line. These are usually our patrol officers, our officers that are going to engage the people on the street. I cannot leave our detective bureau out because also as a part of their investigative piece, they pick up the investigation, they take it further. And the ones that the patrol officers are not able to take and get a successful prosecution from because there's just that much more work that's required, our detective bureau picks up that pace. And you have members from our special operations section of the criminal investigation division led by Captain Oliveira, who are also standing here. That makes the team. That makes the team, and that's what makes it work. And we wish we could have had all the weapons out here for you to see, but as I said, they're at the lab currently right now. They're being tested in our process of what we need to do. And kind of the things I also wanted to touch on is that, you know, the mission of our police department will always remain the safety of our citizens. And we want to ensure our citizens that that is a primary mission for us. And there are many directions to get there. This is one piece. This is the one piece that the chief tasked. This is that mission. Get my guns. Get the guns, the bad guys, get the illegal guns off the street. Again, I want to thank all of the officers that are up here, the detectives that are up here, because without them, it just doesn't work. In January of 2017, here's some numbers I'm going to throw at you. We took about 27 guns off the street. February, we took 17 off the street. March, we took 23 off the street. April, we took 14 off the street. In May, we already have 1 weapon off the street. And that's just to kind of just throw at you. I know the chief talked about, you know, what we have at the lab. We have about 50 to 55 weapons out at the lab right now being tested. But what you can see from this assortment of guns is in every shape, every caliber you can think of that's out there, we pretty much have represented. The ones that really make the officers nervous, the assault type rifles. And I can speak on one instance where at least Officer McGowan and partners engaged a person on the street that had just finished firing an assault rifle. There was a foot pursuit. There was a tad bit of a struggle. The officers had to use some tasers to get the guy under control. But what we recovered from that guy that night, who was just randomly shooting a gun, was a 7.62 millimeter assault rifle that he had on the street. You talk about officers going above and beyond. You take instances like that, and there's a case where officers are going in, rushing into an active shooting scene and still prevail and get that weapon off the street that could be a fatality for someone else. So those are the things that we are tasked with by the boss. Those are the things that we're going to really hammer down with as we continue out the year. And as much as I hate to say, I hope our numbers double. We'll never take all the guns off the street. And for anyone that checks, there's not one gun shop in the city of Harrisburg. But we still seem to be able to have enough guns to go around for everybody, it seems like sometimes. That's not, I don't have figures for that, I'm just saying that. So with that said, I'd also like to announce on the backside of this is that it's not just us. We have help from our federal counterparts. We have a partnership with the ATF. We have a partnership with the FBI, and we try to go after those other ones that fall into that category. When you ask, well, how did the guns get here? Yeah, we'd like to know that too, because I stated, we don't have gun shops in the city of Harrisburg, but they end up on our streets. We rely on our partners over at the ATF. Through the reports that these officers generate, we send over for referrals. They look at them to see if we can take the federal prosecution. But they also have more of an arm's reach to go after the irresponsible gun owners that allow these guns to end up on our streets. So, with that said, I don't have anything else that I wanted to present, and I believe the chief wanted to open it up. I don't know if anyone else needed to say anything. He wanted to open it up to some light questions.
How do the statistics for this year stack up to previous years?
I don't have those numbers. I'm sorry, preparing for this. I can get that to you. I can work on that as soon as possible, but I don't have those numbers to compare.
And can you specify like what you guys are doing differently, or how how you're able to get so many done this year?
Well, I can tell you that the officers went in with a focus, and to me personally, the drive is how many can I get today? How many? And the chief talked about the training. You know, we run call to call to call sometimes in the city of Harrisburg for an assortment of different calls. But for officers to be able to still be able to branch off that piece of time to give them the proactive piece to go after these weapons. And I refer to our street crimes unit. That's our proactive arm. They don't normally respond to calls for service, so they can focus in on a problem area, go into an area and come up with the results. They have the ability to do that through partnerships. But for our uniformed patrol officers, it becomes a little more challenging when they're responding to other calls. I have a domestic to go to. I have a traffic accident. Oh, and by the way, I just chased a guy down the street and I got a gun off of him. But a lot of it comes back to the training and that ability to go out and look for certain indicators. I mean, a big portion of that, I believe, is that you go into our problem areas. If we have an area where we have a lot of shots fired calls and stuff like that, that's where you start. You go into the area, you start paying attention a little bit harder. You start looking a little bit harder. But a lot of it requires you to engage the people that are out here carrying these guns illegally. You know, there's a thought process that, you know, sometimes the officers are just so busy that they have to run call to call to call and they don't get. But these officers, they see a problem, they get out, they go and address the problem. And here are the fruits from that hard work.
The example that you said with the assault rifle being fired from, where was that?
That was in the, up in the District 6 area, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, that was up around 29th Street, around in that area.
Has anything improved in terms of just community talking to police that has helped with you guys getting this many guns off the street?
Yes, and thank you for bringing that up. I'm sorry I kind of left that out a little bit. We've had citizens engagement in this as well, and that's the one thing that I would like, if there was a message to put out to our citizens watching this, please continue to help us. We've had about at least 13 of the weapons that we have recovered from us came from citizens. Citizens that got engaged, picked up the phone, called us, and said, here's what I have, here's what I found. I think that's pretty huge, considering that, you know, in other parts of the country, you don't have that kind of interaction. We would encourage that, and we want to build from that and give them the, that sense that, you know, hey, I did this, and it's making my community better. You can engage, you can be a part of that solution.
You also mentioned that, look, there's not a gun shop in the city, but I'm assuming most of these guns are coming from outside of the city. So does this say that a lot of the crime is being committed from people who do not live in the city, or are people who do live in the city going outside of the city? What is your perspective?
Well, you know me, I'm a numbers person, so I don't like to talk about things that I don't have the hard numbers for. I will say that there's a good mix. I did have a chance to review prior to this, and there was about 90 so cases that I went through to take a look at to see if there was some type of a pattern. One of the things that I look for in a lot of them, and I didn't get the list done in time or else I would give you the numbers, is whether the weapon was stolen or not. And in the majority of the cases, weapons are stolen. So, you know, you have a weapon that may be stolen out of, as far as from York to wherever, Lower Paxton, even out of the city. The weapons all originate in some way, shape, or form as some type of legal ownership. How they end up to the status that they're in, that's its own little story. But we do see a mixture of the stolen guns, and it is what it is. If the gun is stolen, legitimately stolen, and it ends up here, you know, you can go back and talk to the owner about that. And that's where the ATF comes in. They do that back-end work of going back to the gun owner. We're trying to take each one of these guns, we try to take back to someone's hands that legally had it and figure out how it got from there to here. And that's the hard part. That's the challenging part, and that's where we're working through now.
Just curious, where do these guys go after this? Like, after if they're not in some sort of, prosecution or anything like that, where do we go?
Normally how it works is if the gun legally belongs to someone, that owner now has the opportunity, once the case is disposed of, to have the weapon returned to them. If there is no ownership claim on it by a legal owner, they're destroyed.
How many of these guns belong to you?
I'm sorry, I didn't look at the age as I was going through my list. I can get that to you. Chief threw out a number, I think.
14.
He believes it's about 14. I don't have the hard number, so please don't hold me to that number. Anyone else? Okay. I thank you all for coming out again. As we continue to develop and go through this, we will keep you updated. We'll keep you abreast of the progress that we're making here. And, you know, the one gauge that we look at when we do these types of things is to see how our calls for service drop. This is a direct, in our opinion, a direct reflection of you get the illegal guns, you get the bad people that are using these guns off the street, and everything else kind of falls back into place. And, you know, that's our target. That's where we like to do. We understand that we'll never have a city without guns. We carry guns, but we just want the guns to be in a responsible gun owner's hands and not the others. Thank you.